Who are you? Where are we? And why don't you tell us about what's happened over the past week, like what ceremonies?
Okay, sure.
Go ahead, starting rolling.
Hello, my name is Park Ranger Jeffrey, and we are here at the General Grant National Memorial, also known as Grant's Tomb. This week, it's a historic commemoration as we're celebrating Grant's 200th birthday, which took place on April 27th. He was born April 27th, 1822. So we're celebrating the bicentennial. On Wednesday, the 27th, we had a ceremony with West Point, doing an honor color guard and numerous guest speakers. And we're continuing the celebrations all week and actually all year long for his 200th with numerous events. Today, we had living history demonstrations from 11 to 4. So we had Civil War reenactors reenacting daily life of the American Civil War. I gave a talk on the memorial, the one you see behind us. We had a historical musician doing period Civil War music. Also talks on Grant's time at West Point and field music during the American Civil War as well, along with brochures and junior ranger activities throughout the day.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. My honor.
So why do I start a Civil War era show with a tune from the French and Indian War and from the Revolution? Because we know that Grant knew that song. Because he was not one who loved, he did not exude his love for music. Grant said that he had, oh yes, please, I'm a Pied Piper. I have to wait for this punchline until I get Welcome! Welcome to the life history of Grant in song. You might have just heard I played Yankee Doodle, and that's because Grant's love of music was the extent where he said, I know 2 tunes. One is Yankee Doodle, and the other isn't. That's how much Grant loved music. And so I hope that he's looking down forgivingly as I portray his entire life in song. Because I think history can really come to life when you see what people were singing. And he loved it when Julia sang to him. It's interesting. He was at a time when there was more music than had ever been before for someone who could care less about music. There were pianos in parlors all over America, and the sheet music industry right here in New York City was at its crest. It was just really huge and exciting, and all those pianos needed that sheet music, and people needed to express themselves during the Civil War. So it was the time, it was the singingest war in history. But when Julia sang to him, that's all he really cared about. We're going to talk about their life together. Ulysses and Julia met when her brother brought home a West Point classmate and roommate, and brought him home to Whitehaven, their beautiful farm in Missouri. And Julia and Ulysses became inseparable right away. They went on walks, they went on horseback rides. It was quite a romantic idyll. And then Colonel Dent did not think that a soldier would be a good material for a husband for his favorite bride. So the couple secretly got engaged just as he went off to fight in the Mexican War. And so a song from the Mexican War that will certainly be appropriate. I'll play on the Mountain Dulcimer. Mountain Dulcimer is our own American folk instrument. It originated in Pennsylvania with German settlers that missed the zithers they'd left behind in the old country, so they made their own lap-string zithers. Green grow the lilacs and sparkling with dew. Unruly, my darling, since parting from you. By the next meeting I hope to prove true. Change the green lilacs for the red, white, and blue. I once had a sweetheart, now I have none. He's gone and left me to weep and to mourn. He's gone and left me, contented I'll be. He must love another one better than me. Green grow the lilacs, sparkling with dew. Unruly, my darling, since parting from you. And by the next meeting, I hope to prove true. Change the green lilacs for the red, white, and blue. Woo! Well, he came marching home from the Mexican War 4 years later, and Julia had persuaded her father to give his blessing. And so they, just a couple of months later, it was August of 1848, that they were married in the Dent home in St. Louis. There was lavish wedding cake. There was a great amount of food and drink, and there was music. Perhaps, come haste to the wedding. This is the other dulcimer. The Mountain Dulcimer there's instruments all over the floor here. The Mountain Dulcimer was the one I play in the lab with 4 strings. This has many, many strings, wooden hammers. It's where the piano comes from, because it's padded hammers hitting strings. And then this is where the pianos evolved out of the hammered dulcimer, which comes to us from the 11th century Persia. Well, October, just a couple of months later, 1848, Grant is ordered to report to Detroit. And Colonel Dent insisted that Julia stay in their beautiful plantation there at Whitehaven for the duration of Grant's assignment. And Grant says absolutely not, and so it was a battle between the two men. And Julia loved both ideas. She was very comfortable at her home. But she certainly loved Ulysses, and so he won. And she went up on that journey north. She wrote in her memoir about it. The ride was delightful. It was moonlight, cool and fresh, as our fleet steed went flying over the hills and dales, striking stars at every fall of his steel-clad hoofs. How merry we were! I gaily singing, as everyone else had gone to dreamland, and I knew my only listener was a partial critic. Well, perhaps in honor of that tune, something spirited from Stephen Foster. Bring the broom along. We'll sweep the kitchen clean, my dear. Have a little song. Stoke the wood, my lady love, and watch the fire burn. While I take the banjo down, give the mush a turn. Hee, Nelly, ho, Nelly, listen, love to me. I'll sing for you, play for you, dulcet melody. Hee, Nelly, ho, Nelly, listen, love to me. I'll sing for you, play for you, a dulcet melody. Nelly, Nellie Bly winks her eye when she goes to sleep. And when she wakens up again, her eyeballs begin to peep. And the way she walks, she lifts her foot and then she puts it down. When it lights, there's music there in that part of the town. Hey, Nellie, ho, Nellie, listen love to me. I'll sing for you, play for you, dulcet melody. Hey, Nellie, ho, Nellie, listen love to me. I'll sing for you, play for you, a dulcet melody. Nellie Bly, never, never sigh. Never bring the teardrop to the corner of your eye. So the pie is made of pumpkin and the mush is made of corn. And there's corn and pumpkin, plenty love, lying in the barn. Hey, Nellie, ho, Nellie, listen love to me. I'll sing for you, play for you, a dulcet melody. Hey, Nellie, ho, Nellie, listen love to me. I'll sing for you, play for you, dulcet melody. Well, thank you. The next couple of years, they were back and forth between being stationed in Detroit and at Sackett's Harbor, New York. And it was in 1850, Julia spent time in Missouri because she was pregnant with her first child, Fred. And then when she came back to Sackett's Harbor, the young family had a great time there. There were dances, there were car parties, there was sleigh rides and sailboating on the lake. And toddler Fred had the run of the village. And I think this next instrument, you'll see, captures the spirit of an out-of-control toddler. A lumberjack, part toy, part instrument, and he's going to dance and entertain with his feet at the same time. Old Nantucket, fine old man, washed his face in the frying pan, combed his head with a blackened wheel, nodded the toothache in his heel. Get out the way, old Nantucket, it's too late to get your supper. Supper is over and dinner is cooking. Old Nantucket just standing there looking. I went to town the other night, see the noise and see it fight. All the children gathered around. Old Nantucket, he's come to town. Oh, get out of the way, old Nantucket. Too late to get your supper. Supper is over and dinner is cooking. Old Nantucket just standing there looking. Woo! Yeah! Does this one want to try it? It's easy. Mommy, you want to come on up? Yeah, come on. All right, good job. Come here. All you have to do is knock on here. Come right over here. Good job. Yeah, and then go like that. Can you pound on there? You pound. I know it's hard to concept. That's it. Pound, pound, pound. Oh, well, just pick the board up. Yeah, go. Yes! Yes! You did it! He's dancing! Thank you so much! Give her a hand. The lumberjack. And so, this idol at Sackett's Harbor, and it is lovely. I don't know if you've been there. It is a very beautiful village, but it had to end because Grant's regiment is ordered to California. Julia is pregnant again, so she goes to Whitehaven, and after the baby is born, just enjoys the social season with dancing again, and she loved being a Southern belle. She really did. And Grant, meanwhile, Grant is out there in the West where nothing is happening, and he's restless, he's bored, he's lonely, and he's very despondent. And he could stand it no longer. In July 1854, he resigned from the army and came back to the Dent family And he turned to farming. They gave him a little plot of land. He built a crop there, and he, with his own bare hands, he built a house for them called Hardscrabble. So proud of it. Julia hated it. And she just wasn't, she was used to a lovely country home and not cut out for dirt farming. And neither was Grant. In 1858, with a family of 4 children, the farm failed. And so, after a couple more fruitless ventures, he went to his father, who he was not getting along with, partly because a staunch abolitionist northern father, quite upset that the woman that his son married was a southern plantation owner with slaves. So it was not a good relationship between Grant and his dad. But he went there hat in hand and asked if he could be part of the family leather business. And so it happened. One day, the family packed up all their belongings and took a riverboat north to Galena, Illinois. Way down upon the Wabash, such land was never known. If Adam had crossed over it, the soil he truly owned, he'd think it was the garden he played in when a boy, and straight pronounce it Eden in the state of Illinois. Then move your family westward, good health you will enjoy, and rise to wealth and honor in the state of Illinois. Well, it turns out he did start his rise to wealth and honor in the state of Illinois, but it wasn't in the leather business. The drums of war were beating, and Grant knew about that. So he got together a group of volunteers and a regiment and marched away. Everyone was signing up. It's 1862. The Lombard brothers helped people sign up because the Lombards sang at recruiting tents all along the Mississippi. And they sang this one that we know, and I encourage you to sing along whenever you would if you lived in the 19th century. So please, just have to get that Mountain Dulcimer for it. We'll rally round the flag, boys, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. We'll gather from the hillside, we'll rally from the plains, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitor and up with the star. We'll rally round the flag, boys, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. We are springing to the call of our brothers gone before, shouting the battle cry of freedom. We'll fill their vacant left ranks with 1,000,000 free men more, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the streakers, up with the star. We'll rally round the flag, boys, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. Our numbers, the loyal, free and brave, shouting the battle cry of freedom. Though a man is poor, not a one will be a slave, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the treaty, up with the star. We'll rally around the flag, boys, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. Thank you. Well, yeah, it makes you want to sign up. And it just shows you the power of music. You know, it's used for so many things, and one of the main things is rallying people and getting you feeling part of the movement. Well, early in his career, in just the next few months, he had battle successes, and he was named Brigadier General. And then his leadership began to inspire songwriters. So I got 2 songs written only about Grant for the Civil War. February 16th, 1862, the capture of Fort Donelson in Tennessee. It was a huge victory, first major Union victory. And U.S. Grant refused to accept anything other than total capitulation from Confederate General Simon Bolivar Buckner. This is what Grant wrote him. Sir, no terms except unconditional and immediate surrender can be accepted. Unconditional surrender, U.S. It became his new nickname. Unconditional surrender, Grant. And here is the song that they wrote about it. Guitar. You see, my jolly comrades, we are ripe and prime for battle. We heeded not the cannon's roar, nor great shot's stinging rattle. We were sworn to death or victory, for our Union God defend her, and to only take from rebels unconditional surrender, unconditional, unconditional, unconditional surrender. It's a nice little chorus. You can come along next time. Amidst the din of warfare and the shrieks of hosts a-dying, we heard the shout of triumph, saw a flag of truce a-flying, and we knew the rebel leader a petition came to tender. But our gallant general granted unconditional surrender, unconditional, unconditional, unconditional surrender. Hurrah then for our Union, for our flag and Constitution. We've hand in hearts for battle, we will have no dissolution. Hurrah then for our Union, peace and liberty defend her. And henceforth be this our war cry, unconditional surrender, unconditional, unconditional, unconditional surrender. Well, March 1864, he is made Commander-in-Chief of the Union, the whole thing. And just a couple of months later, at the height of fierce fighting near Spotsylvania, Virginia, Grant sent the following dispatch to General Halleck. We have now ended the 6th day of very heavy fighting. I propose to fight it out on this line if it takes all summer. That's so reminiscent of Ukraine to me. And that's the spirit. That's why Lincoln said, I need this man. He fights. And so that catchphrase, I propose to fight it out on this line if it takes all summer. Everyone knew it. It was just a meme or whatever. Everyone was saying that phrase to show what we're made of. And this is the song. was written for that phrase. We'll rally again for the standard we bore, o'er battlefields crimson and gory, shouting hail to the chief who in true freedom's fierce war has covered that banner in glory. We'll rally again, oh soldier and sailor and bummer, oh we'll fight it out here on the Union line. No odds if it takes all summer. We'll rally again to the side of the men who breasted the conquest fierce rattle, and they'll find us still true, who were true to them then, when we bade them good speed in the battle. We'll rally again, oh soldier and sailor and bummer, we'll fight it out here on the Union line. No odds if it takes all summer. Yes. Well, that is what Grant was made of, and that is why when the war ends, he is a national hero. And that is why, not surprisingly, he is to be swept into political office. And well, of course, somebody had to, because Andrew Johnson was president, and not because of Lincoln's assassination. And so it was a very, very difficult time, and people couldn't wait to get someone else in there. So a war hero, of course. And the songs that they're going to bring him in on are Civil War songs made into political campaign songs. That's your show here. We are coming to the fight with our leader at our head, for we know his heart is true, his arm is strong. You can take this piece of paper away, because it's going to blow and drive everybody nuts. And I'm done with that song. Thank you.
No problem.
We know his heart is true, his arm is strong, and we'll struggle for the right, as we did when first he led, and the battle cry of freedom was our song. Grant, 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 the land is calling. Goodbye, Andy, you must go. We will take him at our head, who our bannered host has led, and to whom the traitor ever is a foe. Grant, 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 the land is calling. Goodbye, Andy, you must go. We will take him at our head, who our banner host has led, and to whom the traitor ever is a foe. Civil War songs made into political campaign songs. Now, we have a problem, because this man is an incredible war leader, but he doesn't know how to be president. And he trusts too many bad people, and he thinks it's great to hire all of his relatives in positions. And it was kind of a disaster, and when he's running again in 1872, a liberal offshoot of the Republican Party said anybody but Grant, and so they put up Horace Greeley, editor of the New York Herald Tribune, and the man who said, "Go west, young man," famously. That guy. Greeley was hard sell, though, because he was a little odd. He dressed only in white suits with a white hat. He was a vegetarian, and it was said he believed in free love. You can't use those things in a campaign song. Not going to work, even now. So, the best campaign song then is just to totally disparage Grant, and that's what this one for Horace Greeley does. You'll hear Horace's name in it, but it's all about Grant. And you're going to hear about his relations a lot, Grant's, and there's lots of scandals mentioned. I don't have time to go over all the scandals that Grant's administration was involved in, so look it up when you get home with these names. Goes something like this. There was a jolly president who should have been a resident of Washington, the capital of our nation. At Long Branch he did reside, that's the summer White House, with Tom Murphy by his side to help increase the profits of his station. Oh no, we won't be long, and we'll never sing a song for Ulysses and the office holders party. For Horace and no relations to fill the public stations where work and vote with pleasure, true and hearty. First they tried at San Domingo, but they couldn't make the thing go. So the people opened their eyes and saw right through it. So he dropped that little job, the nation's purse to rob, for he knew the day might come when they might rue it. Oh no, we don't belong, and we'll never sing a song for United Ulysses and the office holders party. For Harris and no relations to fill the public stations, and work and vote with pleasure, true and hearty. Then their eyes, so very wistful, went around to get a fistful of a needful cash to fill their empty purses, and they fell on sweet relations who soon filled the public stations, carpetbaggers, uncles, aunts, and even their nurses. Oh no, we won't be long, and we'll never sing a song for Ulysses and the office holders party. For Horace and no relations to fill the public stations, or work and vote with pleasure, true and hearty. So we hope that you remember in your voting in November that a legal-headed tanner and a cobbler cobbled up to suit their aims with Alabama claims are not the ones to carry forth our banner. Oh no, we don't belong, and we'll never sing a song for Ulysses and the office holders party. For Horace and no relations to fill the public stations, or work and vote with pleasure, true and hearty. Nice little song. I'd vote for Horace just because it's a jaunty song, and that's the whole point. Well, it didn't work. Horace Greeley did not become our president. Grant did, and there were more scandals. When his reign was over, 1877, maybe because he felt the need to get out of town after everything that had been going on, he and Julia went on a world tour for 2 years. They just kept moving, and they went everywhere. They were riding camels, and they were just, they were treated like royalty, which I think was the idea, just to oh please, they felt very wounded by everything they'd been through, and now they are getting feted all over the world. 2 years of traveling, and then they come back. They're not ready to settle down. They do a whole tour of the West. So months and months and months, and then in 1884, Grant suffered yet another business scandal. Basically, it was a Ponzi scheme, and he lost everything. Again, trusting someone else. He lost everything. And they were going to be in ruin. And Mark Twain came to him and said, write your memoirs. I'll help you work this out. He started writing and writing and writing. And then soon he was racing against time and death because he had throat cancer that was so serious he couldn't even swallow, and he was spending his last days riding up at his cottage on a mountain near Saratoga. on the porch there. And people would come to go past in their carriages and wave as he sat there writing his memoirs. And then he finished them. And 5 days later he died. And the book became the bestseller beyond belief. It was huge. And it completely allowed Julia to live comfortably the rest of her life. Thanks to Mark Twain, whose idea it was. But thanks to another thing that Trent did great. He was a great writer. He didn't know it, but there he was. So it was, Julia then did live here in New York comfortably. And in 1897, right here, she attended the dedication of this monument. 1897, Julia Grant was where we are now. And in 1902, she was laid to rest here by his side. Her love for Ulysses never faltered. I mean, they had been through crop failure, through complete hard times, through war, through scandal, everything. She still always was devoted to him and loved him. She ended her own book of memoirs, which was finally, I mean, she's a woman, so it's not going to get printed then. 1975, it was printed, and it's really good. It's really good. That's how I learned everything I know about Grant, through her. But this was her final declaration in the end of that book. The light of his glorious fame still reaches out to me, falls upon me, and warms me. She also was a really good writer. Well, I have loved, despite, we didn't need technology, we don't need mics. I've loved singing for you today. I have two, I want to do two encores if I know, before you even applaud. Because Julia and Grant, their home was in each other. This is, no matter where they were happy as long as they were together. Oh, thank you. And so this tune is the most popular tune of all the 19th century. It was a very singing century, as I said. And so it really, Dulcimer's played with the feathers, so I had to do it right. So this song was written in 1823 by a man who was the star of New York stage. He was young, he was 19, and he was a matinee idol. But he got a little pudgy and thought maybe he'd try something else. So he moved to London and started writing for the British stage. And he wrote for an opera called Clary or the Maid of Milan. And in that unlikely setting, he wrote a song about his loneliness, homesickness for a little cottage he'd grown up in on Long Island. And that song leapt off the British stage into the hearts of Americans all. We sang it, we put it on in samplers on our walls. We have it in movies, you'll know what I mean. And in the Civil War, one night across a river, a mighty river, one side the Yankees, one side the Confederates. They'd been fighting for days, and they're on opposite sides of the river. And a battle of the bands ensues. The rebels strike up their best tune and throw it over the water at the Yankees. And we say, oh yeah, well how about this one? And back. And so, back and forth across that river. People who were fighting all week are now making music for each other. And then, one band struck up this, and everyone just sang on both sides of the river because it was what they needed and what they longed for and what they were fighting for. And it's what Julia and Ulysses found in each other. Mid pleasures and palaces, though we may roam, be it ever so humble, There's no place like home. The charm from the skies seemed to tarry us there. We'd search through the world, his name met with elsewhere. Oh, home, sweet, sweet home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. 'Tis there I'll return, overburdened with care. The heart's greatest solace will smile on me there. No more from that cottage again will I roam, be it ever so humble. There's no place like home. Oh, home, sweet, sweet home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Thank you. For our true finale, a song we can all sing together, because there was another very strong Julia at this time. Her name was Julia Ward Howe, and she met Julia Grant because she made sure to attend the 1869 inaugural ball. So the two Julias met there. And Julia Ward Howe was a celebrity. You know, she'd written the greatest anthem of the Civil War. She'd written it to, she didn't write the tune. She heard soldiers singing a tune. And what they were singing? John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. That's just, this wasn't gonna, she said, great tune, but it could use better words. I don't want to hear about moldering in graves. So one night in her Washington, D.C. hotel room, she wrote, and it just was coming to her. And she'd go to sleep, and she'd wake up, and she'd write more, and before you knew it, when the sunlight came on her desk that morning, there was a new song for us all. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He has trampled out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Here we go. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never know retreat. He has lifted up the hearts of men before the judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be tremble at my feet. Our God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make men holy, but has died to make men free. Truth is marching on. One more time. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on.
Huzzah!
Huzzah, thank you. Fine tribute from the soldier. Thank you.
Bonnie song just Yeah, it's awesome. Yankee Doodle.
Yeah, my kids knew this party song.
We even have a got you version of Yankee Doodle. It's really cool. I find it in the book, an Army manual, and it's the Yankee Doodle that's designed to get the soldiers to walk faster. And it goes. That's when the captain looks over at the army music and goes, make them move fast.
It doesn't taste good, does it?
No, it tastes very bland.
What's this?
That's a mirror? So back then, Civil War soldiers did shave. You need a mirror, right? Toothbrush, right?
Eyeglasses.
That's an eyeglass case.
Oh,
They probably are the original.
Yep.
Yes, that's
Yep,
actually
they're original.
100-something years old.
oh, I should not be. Okay.
Max would have told you not to do it.
Yeah, I would have said so. That's okay.
This was called a housewife. Now, why was it called a housewife?
Housewife used it?
Well, actually, the soldiers used it to fix their clothes. Like you see,
Oh,
right?
because the housewife.
The housewife would normally do that at home. Very like you couldn't say that today, you get yelled at. But that's what the
That's not going to be politically correct.
that's correct, exactly. So toothbrush. They had to take care of their teeth back then. Those were matches. They called them lucifers back then.
Oh, Lucifer. Oh.
That's what they called matches back then because of the fire.
Come Lucifero, the devil.
The devil.
That's toothpaste. Is that toothpaste?
It's tooth powder. It's baking soda.
Okay.
Right? That's a regular toothbrush. And then soldiers often carry pocket knives too.
Okay. You don't want to.
Matches, okay?
Oh yeah, no, go right ahead.
You have to
careful.
more like that. You need to be
No.
careful because when you close it, you might have.
So be
Yeah.
careful because that is a real knife.
Oh, it's like a butter knife.
That's
Yeah,
pretty sharp.
maybe it's not that sharp anymore because it's old, but it was sharp.
It's gotten a lot of use.
So the soldiers often use it.
Could you actually put water in that? Because it tastes like
I've been drinking out of it all day.
Oh!
Yeah.
Probably stay fresh.
Yeah, these things still work. They're reproductions of what they would have used.
Oh, are you okay?
And they kept all their food, like this is coffee. So they kept food in little bags that they made. Wrapped it up in paper sometimes. This was their equivalent of a raincoat back then. Although it wasn't much of a protection. They called this a gum blanket. What they typically did was they made a cape out of it. So this is what the Army gave them. And they would wrap it around themselves. Like so. You can see the big baby pin there?
Yeah.
How
Here we go. It would fit all the sizes. Problem solved.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Are those real? Like the guns?
Yes, they shoot.
Oh, wow.
You guys know how these things shoot? We can show you. We can't shoot it, but we can show you. Yeah, we can't shoot it, but we can show you how it works.
There's no ammunition in that,
No.
right? Okay, good.
So,
Actually,
Just want to make sure.
well, the plastic. You see the plastic bag that actually contains real bullets.
Wait, what?
yeah.
Can I see?
So that's made out of lead, right?
Yep, lead. They're mini balls.
Wow, Maya.
So that's just a piece of lead. It's not going to explode on you. So to fire the muskets, this is where they carry their ammunition, this bag. And this is what the cartridges would look like back then. Right? They'll be real different from today. It was all paper. There was gunpowder up here, and the musket ball was down here. So to shoot the thing, the soldier would tear this off. He would then pour the gunpowder down the barrel, and then he would push the musket ball down on top, and then he would pull his rammer out. Go ahead, show how you do it.
Oh, it's something to like see.
Right. So down here you have the gunpowder and the musket ball on top.
So he will push down there.
You push it, get it all packed up real tight. So kind of like it looked like this down there.
Okay.
And then they take it.
Yeah, because without that stick, you can't shoot the gun. So you can't load the gun. So then he would do something called he'd prime it. So this is something that you don't have in guns now because they all work together. You would put on this thing called a cap. This one's been exploded already, but there's like a little explosive thing here, like you would see with like a children's cap, like a cap. Yeah, exactly, just like that. Yes. So he put this on there, and when he pulled the trigger, this is called a hammer. It would hit that, it would explode,
And make the gunpowder go.
Yeah, you got it.
You're right.
Then you got to do it all over again.
That's right. And so a good soldier could fire 3 shots a minute.
Wow.
You got to be moving.
That's yes. Yes.
This is real, right?
So a very good soldier
You can eat it.
could do 3 in 1 minute. A very
Right,
good one.
yeah.
Someone that has been practicing a lot. Okay.
Yeah. And then if you ran out of ammunition,
Oh, it's a knife?
this is called the bayonet. And so that you can use that to fight somebody off with.
So that's a real gun that you use in was that for use?
This one is a reproduction, but it looks just like the original. It works just like the originals. This is original. This is from the Civil War.
If you wanted to make it work, could you?
Yes, we have. We've shot these.
Really?
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Here?
No, we can't do it here. But we go out to Gettysburg battlefield out in Pennsylvania, and there's a lot more space out there to shoot. So we've shot out there before. Not live ammunition, with
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, ladies.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I like your shades.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Have a good day.